Hi, my name is Spencer. So we are several months out from the Starship Troopers Extermination 1.0 release, and I wanted to give you a little update on how things are progressing so far after the game is fully released. And there are definitely still a number of problems, a number of changes that I would like to see this game implement. So I just want to walk you through some of the things that I've noticed and want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about are the classes. So for each of these weapons, you can progress through them and eventually level them up enough that you unlock them in the armory. What that does is it allows other classes to use this weapon once it's maxed out. And these classes all have particular weapons that are exclusive for them. They share some weapons, but others they're exclusive to that class. So you have a created class, which is separate from the other ones, but it's not really a created class. All it is you can change what your base class is, and that will determine the abilities that you have to use. And you can equip a different primary weapon that this class, the Guardian, for example, would not normally have. So you could give the Guardian a sniper rifle if you've maxed out the sniper rifle. And it's the same with secondary weapons, except nobody has. Well, that's not true. The medic has, right, the E-Pulse pistol. So you could equip a different pistol, that E-Pulse one, to other classes. But that's it. You can't mix and match utilities. You can't mix and match grenades. You can't mix and match perks. Which I thought was the whole idea of having this created class, is that you can mix and match things. So that's really disappointing. I hope that they change that. I don't know how you would do it. Maybe once you level up the class to the maximum level, you then get the utilities and perks and grenades and all that, because it's kind of pointless to create a class when all you can do is change the weapons and nothing else. So that's weird. If you go to loadout, the weapon has this weird looking skin on it. That's not any of the skins that are available here. When I go, it does this every time. It has this weird skin attached to it, and I have no idea what's going on. Is there when I put an attachment on the weapon? I don't know what this is. That's weird, because that's only weapon I noticed that it does that with. I've looked around at the other weapons. They don't have the weird visual glitch on it. It's only the Morita MK1 carbine. Obviously not game breaking, but it is something that should be looked at. So I have been experiencing some drop frames and lagging. I was on Agni Prime playing the Arc mode. We were right at the end. Extraction was called in. So I'm getting ready to leave, and I realize that we are getting hammered by arachnids. Walls are coming down. They're exploding into pieces. There's a lot of effects going off. On top of that, you have grenadiers shooting at the base, so those effects are going on. And on top of that, inferno bugs are shooting at the base, setting everything on fire. It was chaotic, which I like the feeling of. I like the feeling that there's so much going on, everybody is doing something different, there's an excitement to it, right? The downside is the performance. A less powerful PC would have a hard time running all of this. I had freezing and drop frames specifically on the dropship, which you would think that's the least likely place for that to happen because it's an enclosed space. The game doesn't need to render a lot around you visually, but there are things going on outside. So I kind of, and it was congregating around the dropship, so I kind of get it, but there's no getting around it. Your PC needs to be beefy to handle this. If you're on console, it's probably not so bad. Offworld, the company that develops this game, they really need to work on optimization. The optimization has not been great for this game for a long time. It's a sore point for a lot of people. And in the next update, that's all I want to see. I don't want to see new content. I don't want to see new weapons or planets or even Galactic Front missions. I don't want any of it. Just work on making the game run as well as it can possibly run for as many people as possible, and then keep updating that to make sure that it stays running. One thing I would say that if you're playing this game or you're planning on playing this game sometime in the future, turn screen shake off. This is a feature that I don't enjoy in basically any game ever. I just find it really annoying and distracting, and it makes it everything hard to see. And once I turned screen shake off, which this game convinced me that I needed to do that, it was a lot nicer. It didn't help with the lagging and stuff, but at least the camera isn't shaking all over the place and it's a little bit easier to see. Along with the performance issues, there has also been something else that has gone on for a long time, and that is arachnids appearing, disappearing, then reappearing somewhere else, and then finally disappearing for good. That has been going on since the game went into early access in May 2023. There'll be a bug somewhere, and it just pops out of existence, pops in, and then pops out. So this is the clip that I was going to show you. I thought, if you look at the top of the screen here, I thought that this arachnid that's standing there was the only one there, and it disappears, and I thought that it was the one that reappeared on the left, but actually both of those arachnids were there. They were just doing an idle animation, and then they disappeared. What they should do at the end of a wave is burrow underground, not disappearing like this. Definitely something that they need to look at. It's a little ridiculous that this pop in and pop out is still happening, and it's been happening for the entire approximately year and a half of this game's existence. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the Galactic Front. It hasn't had anything new in months. What that is a series of objectives for doing different modes on different planets. Once you get enough victory points, the whole player base can then move on to the next chapter. And after you're done with each chapter, everyone gets a reward such as a weapon skin, a helmet decal, whatever the case may be. And the last mission was completed months ago at this point, and players have had nothing to collectively work towards right now. And really, it's just a kill counter. There's nothing specific you have to do. Just rack up kills and intel, which intel you receive every mission. I don't believe you have to do anything special if memory serves. I would like to see special mission types within the Arc and Horde modes. If you don't do these, it won't count towards the overall objectives. You probably know what I'm talking about, like the side objectives where a drop ship crashes and you can go recover stuff, or there are AI troopers that need to be rescued, and then you can bring them back to the base and they kind of help defend it. Special objectives like that you would need to do in order to contribute to the overall goal. It's more interesting than just watching a kill counter go up. And speaking of these side missions, something that I have noticed is that a lot of the time, people don't bother to do those side missions. I think it's a combination of those missions not having enough rewards for doing them, or it being too dangerous to leave the base to try to do those missions anyway, because you're just going to end up dying. I don't know what they would need to change about this, if they need to... I think the difficulty is about where it should be, but these missions should have greater rewards that people actually want to obtain, or even put some of the missions a bit closer. There are a lot of cases where a side mission will come up and I look at the map and I go, oh, I'm not going all the way out there. That's way too far. I'm definitely going to die. So some kind of adjustments need to be made. I didn't play a ton of games to make this video, so I don't have like a huge sample size for it, but it's just something that I've noticed. There was one game on Borealis where an extermination mission came up, and there was one guy that went out there to try to do that, and nobody else went. I have been seeing an overall player count drop, which, if you look at the numbers here, this is concerning. There's been a lot of big drop offs. It's averaging less than 500 players the past couple of months. Peak players are way down. And something I've noticed in the games that I've played recently is that most of my teammates are console players, which I'm happy to see the console players, but it means that there are not a lot of PC players for this anymore. And that's a concern. I want this game to keep going for a long time. I like it a lot. But there are a lot of things that need to be addressed. The performance issues, I'm sure, are a big reason why a lot of people have been pushed away from the game, because they just do not want to put up with it. More console players are good. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you're enjoying the game. But there has definitely been a vibe shift with this game, because when I started playing this in May of 2023, and for the next several months after that, there were tons of people talking. They were on the microphone. They were talking about the game. They were having other discussions. It was like a lively sort of place. And it kind of reminded me, even though this game doesn't have servers, it reminded me of like old, like Team Fortress 2 days, which is a game that I absolutely love. And it would be filled with people talking, and it felt like you were not getting to know people you were playing with in the game, but there was back and forth, and there were conversations happening. And now most of the games are completely silent. No one says anything, and it's so weird how quiet everyone is. Not everybody has to talk. Not everybody wants to talk, and that's fine. But I'm just telling you that there's a pretty big shift in how the games feel. One of the last things I want to talk about is the progression. I would say that the progression, at least for unlocking things, is pretty lackluster right now. I was hoping that there would be more weapon skins, that there would be more options to actually customize the way your character looks. I don't care so much about the character, because most of the time I don't see my character, but I'm looking at my weapon all the time. I would like to see more skins unlocked. Obviously, I don't want like things that are out of place within Starship Troopers. I don't want like, a yellow gun with purple stripes or something on it, or something like that. That doesn't fit with Starship Troopers. But just something else to unlock, because right now it's 10 levels for each weapon. You get some attachments, which that's another thing. There are not a ton of attachments for these guns. You can't really customize it that much. And there's like 2 skins, I think, that you can get. There's like a gray color skin, which is not much different than the base skin for your weapon. And then there's like this olive green skin, which is pretty blah and just drab looking. There's some skins, some other skins, but you have to buy DLC to get them. And there was one for completing the first Galactic Front chapters. That one's a little bit more interesting. It's like a bluish sort of color. And there's also one that I got because I purchased the game in early access, but it's just like it puts a little bit of orange on the weapon, and that's it. I would like to see more unlocks of some kind to give players something to do. So that's going to just about do it. They really need to optimize the game first before they add more content. That's all I want to see in the next update, or the next like 2 updates or something. Whatever number of updates they need to get this game in a state where people can run it and not have lagging, not have freezing, not have crashing, which I haven't experienced a crash lately, but I know around the 1.0 release, I was getting a crash or two. That really needs to be cleaned up. Once you get that figured out and can get players back, hopefully, because the game runs well, then you can focus on adding more of the content. Like I said, the skins, more weapon attachments. I'd still like to see more planets. I'd love to see like a jungle planet or something. I'd like to see maybe more variety in some of the side missions. There's a lot that they could do. I almost feel like this game should have stayed in early access for longer, but I mean, it's already the 1.0. It's already been fully released, so cat's out of the bag. You can't take that back now. But just optimize it, get players back, hopefully, and then you can add more content. Hopefully, the next time you see one of these videos from me, I'll be able to tell you that everything's great. They've optimized it. They've added lots of content. Hopefully. Until then, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you want to. Subscribe if you want to. Not your mother. Can't make you do it. Have a good day.